Man, the Garden of BANBAN franchise keeps surprising me. It's been almost a year since the last Garden of BANBAN sequel. We did have BANBAN Zero a few months ago, but still, it's crazy to imagine that these things were once being put out every 2 months. With BANBAN 8 and Thy Devil, we deal with the events of the last game, exploring a facility where Syringian is experimenting on his alien friends. There's supposed to be a conflict between BANBAN and the new protagonist of the Zeroth game, Plumbo. A bunch of other elements will tie together this 8th game, but I want to guess how before it releases. These are my plot predictions. Everything we've seen and heard of the game I have to build into a series of events that make sense. So let's just lay out some things we need to take into consideration. This new tool, its purpose and when we get it, when this confrontation occurs, how these puzzles work, and what the plot is. I kind of summarized it at the beginning, but to be fair, I'm only stating the obvious since the first versions don't really tell us the plot. So, based on what we know, where would the game start? Well, in case you need a reminder, the last game ended with Syringion knocking us out. You know what we see in the trailer for Garden of BANBAN 8, a jail. I think it's pretty obvious that the jail cell is probably our first location. An easy way of figuring out the first environments and events is our tool. Obviously we won't have it at the start of the game. This means that this jail or meeting with Little Flynn and the breach of aliens are somewhere in the beginning. It's just our job of figuring out what order these occur. Get a couple of clues. If you look at the window of this prison block, you can see those like stripes of light outside. If you look at this house in the scene where we meet Little Flynn, which by the way, if his name's not Little Flynn, I'm going to be severely disappointed. Anyway, the lights in this house look pretty similar to the lights we see outside of the prison block. This is how I know this takes place in the same area. Also, this is a prison, so a prison yard where Syringian mates and prisoners do work is pretty on par. I'm pretty sure we get sent to this yard to mine stone because of this clip of the security guard. I assume that this bridge is how we escape the prison to, get to the rest of the facility. Let's take a break from theorizing about the plot and talk about some of the puzzles. First of all, what is this tool? Well, it looks like there's a color that maybe gives us access to different areas. I mean, we have this BANBAN color or red in the hospital area the entire time. I guess this is how we changed the color, These other puzzles I think I have down. This music room has the instructions right there, so not hard to guess. It says count the different musical shapes in the bowls and submit your findings. So we need to go around in this room and count the shapes. I assume that there is some kind of screen out of frame where we can put the amount we think there is. It seems like a pretty simple puzzle to me. This one isn't as obvious, but I think I got it. I'm pretty sure this is one of those like match puzzles. There are cards with an image on the other side and you have to reveal 2 of them at once and get the ones with the same image. You can see the screen changing to the Tamataki and Kamataki icon when it's interacted with. The problem with the prison is, how do we get to this point of us escaping? At first I thought it had something to do with Sir Daddy, but I don't know why he would help us. In fact, Sir Daddy has pretty much stumped me. I don't know how he's still alive or what he's doing, and I don't like it at all. Hopefully he'll just be pushed aside as a cameo or a chase scene. I don't have any issues with Sir Daddy. I thought he was an interesting character, but I thought the whole Scepter saga was complete and we would get something new. and it does look like we will. Anyways, I actually think the Toad might help us out. He's always talking about criminals and imprisoning people or things. It would be a cool sort of development for his character arc if he would help us really solve the aliens to help us escape. Right, so what's next? Honestly, this is where it gets more tricky. We can still guess a bit. At first, this tool will probably be off, so this and this should be after we escape, but before the hospital and whatever. I'm thinking we enter the facility through the hospital, but before that it looks like we're going to revisit City Engine for this part of the trailer. The lights and buildings show us that we're here again. It looks like we had to sneak into the facility. Maybe this icon of Syringeon is like an alarm or something, and we have to go into this place to turn it off. That's how I think we're going to get there. The facility consists of a hospital, a weird brick thing, and some other weird things, I think. That doesn't seem too confident. I do think the hospital will be the first area in there, though I don't know what we're going to be doing there. Maybe just exploring it? I don't know. The reason why I think the hospital is at the start is BANBAN. I do think that this is where we'll meet him. Think of it like this. He screams at us like we see in the trailer. Then he goes back to his normal form. And we know that there is more stuff after the hospital because of the Sting of Flynn tool thing. So it can't be at the end. The hospital will probably end with a chase with this crab guy and of course BANBAN. Yeah. Now it's just a matter of guessing all of these areas in the right order. I really don't have a lot to go off of. The idea is that BANBAN returns to this form and we follow him. I'm thinking that throughout the game we need to find an elevator to that BANBAN 0 floor so BANBAN can have his meetup with Plumbo and we need to find said elevator. Here we go. This probably happens after the hospital and wait, just remember that there is indeed this whole thing with the sword and this unknown hand. And to me it looks like the hand of Bitter Giggle. I don't know if they would bring it back though. So I'm going to hope that it's just a new character. Maybe it's going to kidnap BANBAN. Jeez. I think we've covered most of everything. Final prediction goes as follows. The player starts off in a dream. We imagine that we find our children. Then we get woken up by a prison guard who tells us that it's our turn to go mine stone. That's where we meet Lil Flynn, who tells us our current situation and that we need to escape. We go find Sheriff Toadster and stumble across Sir Daredoo along the way. We construct a plan where all the aliens help us cross the giant pit. Once we've made it back to City Engine, we need to navigate towards the facility. However, we notice that... Alright, I'm going to go off topic here because at this point while writing the script, I saw a spider crawling around on my laptop's monitor. It took me a minute to identify the spider, and then I realized that it's a jumping spider. A zebra jumping spider to be more specific, and it was an absolute delight to see. I've never seen one before and I thought it was really cool. We noticed that the facility has an alarm system that we need to go turn off in this room. We move to the hospital and get the orange color to a tool. Then get chased by Crab and we meet BANBAN. He tells us that he knows someone who can help us get to the elevator. Exploring the facility, we meet a new threat who uses a sword. Once we finally reach the elevator, a fight between BANBAN and Flambeau erupts. After all the chaos, we finally see Brushista, who will help us get to our children. In Garden of BANBAN 9.